Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. It is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I absolutely love the holidays, partially because, let's say mostly because of all the massive good food, eating, family time that's about to happen. Next Sunday's show is actually going to be our 4-year anniversary of the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. I kind of got a little confused and was thinking it's this weekend, but it's actually the Sunday after Thanksgiving. It's going to be our 4-year anniversary. 4 years that we've been on the air. That is amazing. So I spent the weekend in Gonzales with my parents. I hadn't gotten to see them since March, and very fortunate that I'm going to be spending Thanksgiving with them. But I went and stayed with them this weekend in Gonzales. And the best part about being with your parents is the amount of food that they feed you. They sent me home with all of their leftovers. They bought me meals. They bought me groceries. When I got there Thursday night, my dad had made Southwest steak tacos that he was very proud of, and they were delicious. And there was a little bit left, and my mom wanted to throw it away. I'm very anti-food waste, so I try to always morph my meals into other meals. And I was like, no, don't throw that away. I'm going to make breakfast with that and put eggs on it. And she looked at me like I was strange. But sure enough, Saturday morning, that's what I did. And it was delicious. So I was like, this is why you don't throw food away. So instead of throwing all of their leftovers away, they sent it home with me. Heaven Moore is going to be our guest co-host tonight. She is a world traveler, and we're going to talk to her about some of the different meals that she's dined on around the world. You are in between traveling, so you're staying with your parents right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you kind of feel that way, that they kind of feed you? And
yeah, for sure. Of course they feed me. I guess they have to. It's kind of frowned upon to let your child starve. But right now, my dad and I are kind of on this like low carb thing. So we're trying different recipes to kind of incorporate that. So we had the latest ones were Philly cheesesteak stuffed portobello mushrooms.
Okay, I saw those pictures on Instagram and they looked delicious.
Yes, they were very good. With sweet potato fries. I mean, it's still a carb, but meh. And then we also had kind of like a pizza, but instead of the cauliflower crust, we just sliced up some eggplant and just used that as a base. So it wasn't crunchy or anything, but still as just like a foundation to put like different pizza, like turkey, cheese, things like that on top of it. So it's good. Yeah.
Nice. Well, being that I was so close to Baton Rouge, I got to go to my favorite place in the whole wide world besides Costco, which is Trader Joe's. You don't have the affinity and don't get the obsession that I have.
No, the only thing I've ever bought from Trader Joe's was their shampoo, and I do love that. So I mean, if their groceries are like their shampoo, then I guess it's worth the hype.
So what I like them for is if you're trying to get organic, low carb, paleo stuff, you can find it there at really good, cheap prices. So they have cauliflower crust, just the
pizza
crust
already made?
Pizza.
Oh, okay.
No, like just the crust. So you can put your toppings and stuff on it. They have that at Rouse's and it's $9. At Trader Joe's, it's $5. So that's the difference. They have, I got cauliflower fried rice, and then I got this Japanese style.
We made that the other day.
Yeah,
too.
Squash. So they have different things like that, and they're really good price. One of the things when I went to Birmingham that I found that I really liked was the ginger paste, which I'm going to check this, but I'm pretty sure that either the Asian or the Indian market here in Lafayette may have ginger paste.
They should, because in India they have it. And my ex-boyfriend was Indian. He had it all over the house.
Right. So they probably do have this in Lafayette, but I stocked up when I was there because once I discovered that, I'm never chopping fresh ginger again, because if you've ever chopped fresh ginger, you know how incredibly difficult that is. So that's one of the other things that I love about them. But the two things from this trip that I discovered, they have fresh pizza dough, like already done. All you have to do is roll it out on a pan, put your toppings, and bake it. They have whole wheat, they have original, and then they have like a garlic herb one, which I got the garlic herb
at
one.
making pizza dough.
Yeah, and it was only like $1.19 for that. And I went ahead and froze it. Like it was fresh, ready to go, but I froze mine for the trip. And then I talk about how cheap their alcohol is, the $2 Chuck, which you can get a case of that for $36, and it's decent wine. But besides that, if you go and look at the other wines that they have there, there's some really good wines that you can get at good prices. And right now for the holidays, they have these giant bottles of wine that you'll typically see on display at restaurants. It's probably like 4 or 5 bottles in one giant thing. Like I think there was a bottle of Prosecco, and I am not kidding you that it was probably the same height as me. And it was $12. So it was really cheap. My mom tried to buy it for me, and I was like, no, like there's no way. Like I'd have to have like a huge party to have everyone to drink this Prosecco. But now I'm like, man, I should have got it.
I would imagine pouring that to be very difficult.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you're going to need 2 people to do it. But yeah, so I love Trader Joe's. I wish Lafayette would get one. There are rumors that
put that in the old tears.
Yeah. Well, somebody said that that's actually dangerous for us from where we work. But there was a rumor that it was supposed to be coming to where the Winn-Dixie was on Ambassador and Collie Saloon, the old Winn-Dixie. That was one of the rumors. And I mean, they're doing more stuff in there. The bagel place is coming there. We're also getting an all-you-can-eat sushi and hibachi place that's going right there too. So maybe it is happening, maybe it's in the works, but who knows? Also, I took the scenic route home from Baton Rouge yesterday, so I took 190, and the only reason I did that was to stop at Billy's in Krotz Springs, which I'm convinced is the best Billy's. The one in Scott has like a really long line. I believe the one in Krotz Springs is the original location, and I feel like they're far superior to the one in Scott. Like it tastes a little bit different, and it's the only reason I'll take 190 besides traffic issues on I-10 to get back from Baton Rouge. You have not
had it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I've had Billy's. Our family loves Billy's. I just love Boudin, period.
So wasn't that one of the big things that you missed when you were traveling?
Absolutely. I feel like, I was talking about this the other day. I feel like whenever, because I mean, I'm not technically originally from Louisiana. I was born in Chicago. I've been here since I was 5. So, I mean, basically, I'm from Louisiana. And so I did grow up on like gumbo, boudin, crackling, like all the good Cajun foods. But I would never claim to be Cajun. But when I'm away from Louisiana, I feel more connected to Louisiana because the thing I miss the most is the food. And so like the first time I was living abroad, I like learned how to cook gumbos, like my first gumbos, my first etouffee making it. And so, but boudin is something I will never be able to make on my own. And it's something that I wish I could, because it's definitely one of the things I absolutely miss the most.
All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Heaven. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Heaven Moore. She is a world traveler, and we're going to be talking about her dining around the world a little later in the show. Now, in the first segment, you mentioned that you are doing the low-carb diet, and I tried to tempt you before the show and text you because I've been doing this weekly baking challenge. And today I made peanut butter chocolate chip cookies and you said no. And then I sent you a picture of the cookies and you said, I hate you. Stand strong.
Basically just like 2 thick things of cookie and then like peanut butter and chocolate in between. God. And I was just like, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to walk away. So I'm trying to develop a sense of willpower. I've never been known to have one, but it's slowly getting there.
So some lower carb snacks that you can have is like extremely dark chocolate, just like a little tiny piece to kind of get that little sweetness.
No such thing. That's the thing. It's either none or
no.
All. It's exactly. I can't do this whole little piece of something because I will just vacuum. It's like I turn into a vacuum.
And then there's something called Hail Mary snacks that they sell at Whole Foods, and they're little tarts. They have like lemon. They have a mint chocolate. And then they have a almond butter one. They are like, if you eat a half of it is supposed to be a serving, but if you're really feeling it, you could technically eat a whole one. They are more carbs than what you would typically need in a low carbohydrate diet, but for a little treat here and there.
No, and I don't want to deprive myself because I love food. Like whenever I am going to a new destination, the first thing I look at is not accommodation. I don't care where I'm sleeping. I'm like, okay, foods to eat, insert country name. Like that's the only thing I care about. I just want to try all the foods. That's all I want. So I'm not going to ever try to deprive myself. I'm just trying to become more aware of like what I eat.
So I'll just tell you that I felt like the peanut butter cookies needed more salt. So the first thing that I ever, my first cooking fail was peanut butter cookies. And my grandmother had bought me a cookbook when I was like 8, and I used to stay with her in the summer. And the summer that she got it for me, I kind of cooked my way through the cookbook. And my grandmother was very much on nurturing independence. So she kind of just left me alone in the kitchen to cook. Like I remember once I mastered the oatmeal pancake recipe that was in that book, getting up before anyone was up. She kept the electric skillet on the counter for me, like getting a step stool to plug it in and making the oatmeal pancakes before anyone woke up and then going watch cartoons. Like I remember that vividly. But I made the peanut butter cookies and they were salty. They were like very salty. So I handed them to her and I was like, they're salty. And she said, apparently she had salted butter in her house, and she was like, oh yeah, she's like, butter normally has salt in it. If you use salted butter, like do not put salt.
Salt.
Yeah, because it's going to make it salty. So that's remained with me. Cut to when I bought the butter to bake with, I specifically bought no salt butter. And I've started using Kerrygold butter, which is magic, and I do not want to eat any other butter out there. It's imported from Ireland, and it is pricey, but it is delicious. Like especially their salted butter, which I use like to just spread on bread or whatever. But I specifically bought non-salted to bake with. Made the peanut butter cookies today, used that non-salted butter. Still didn't put the salt because I was like, even though it says non-salted, depending on the brand of butter, there's still some salt in it. And then the peanut butter has salt in it too. So I was like, not going to put the salt in it. Mixed it all up, tasted it. It kind of needed some salt. I was like, ooh, this needs some salt. So to kind of save it, once they were done baking, which I should have sprinkled the salt on top before they went in the oven, so it would have stuck better. Little failed again with the peanut butter cookies, but I put the salt on it on top, and it kind of saved it a little bit, but it did need some of that salt in there. So if you're using the non-salted Kerrygold butter, you use your salt that's in the recipe. But so I can't make peanut butter cookies apparently, and they're not bad. They're just very sweet, and that salt would have been nice to kind of cut through that a little bit. Yep. Also, I just want to say, when I got married, I got a KitchenAid mixer, and it's pastel pink, and it was amazing. I have used it more the past 3 weeks than I did since I got it for a gift for my wedding. Like I used it literally to make mashed potatoes usually. I did not use it for baking. Like I've been using it so much this past 3 weeks. Also, someone got me a really nifty cookie scooper. So you can scoop up the cookies and you like mash this button and it puts them on there perfectly. First time I've used it since getting it in 2006.
Well, it's a good thing you kept it, because knowing me, I probably would have gotten rid of it by now.
Right. Well, I am kind of mad at myself because when I had moved in with my ex-boyfriend, we had consolidated a bunch of stuff and I got rid of stuff. And right before we broke up, I had went through and like house cleaned and got rid of a bunch of stuff. And I left my really nice, measuring spoons there. Cause I was like, I don't bake. And when I cook, like I eye it, like I don't, and the only reason I would use those is for baking. So I was like, I left them there when I moved out. So now I'm like oh my God, I need measuring spoons because with baking, like you have to be exact. You can't just eye it. So learning lesson for me. Thanksgiving is happening this Thursday. What are your plans for Thanksgiving?
It's my first Thanksgiving in
the States, right?
Yeah, in like a year or two now.
Okay.
And I'm ecstatic. Last year I was living in the south of France and I was teaching English in a high school and and one of my teachers was like, oh, we should do something for the kids. And so we tried to make a sweet potato pie. It was, I don't know if it was a success. It wasn't like an absolute failure, but yeah, she was mortified by the amount of butter that went into this.
Really?
Oh, mortified because French people and sugar because it was the butter and the sugar. And she was like, the sweet potatoes are already sweet. Why do you need more sugar? And I was like, America. Okay, just don't question it.
I was about to say, not the butter. I mean, croissants have an obscene amount of butter.
It's amazing.
So it's the butter and the sugar.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we made that. So this will be my first actual Thanksgiving at home, and I'm ecstatic because my mom makes this. My mom's from up north, so they're stuffing people. Like here, it's usually like rice dressing is like everyone's.
And cornbread dressing, yeah.
But stuffing is a big thing, and my mom makes this seafood stuffing with like crab, crawfish, shrimp, oysters, and sausage.
Oh, wow.
And it's delicious. And then she also makes this great baked macaroni and cheese. I'm really looking forward to that.
And does your dad fry or do y'all bake the turkey?
Yeah, we bake the turkey.
I would imagine that your dad would fry it.
No, yeah, he's definitely...
Or sous vide, because he's really into sous vide
He's obsessed with sous vide.
Yeah.
But we just bake the turkey and then we have a ham as well. We have way too much food, but I don't care because I love leftovers. But yeah, it's just stuffing. I'm really looking forward to it. So this week I am just going to be very good on this diet, no cheating days.
And then Thursday
and I'm going to gorge
out.
And then Friday we'll get back to normal maybe.
And you invited a fellow world traveler who happened to be in Lafayette to dine with you.
So like he came into work and one of the doctors was like, oh, Heaven was the girl I was telling you about. You have to talk with her. And he's Brazilian and he just travels as well. And he just moved here and he'll be here for at least 2 years. But I was like, oh, well, you just moved here. Like, here, take my number if you want to go grab a drink or something or go out to eat. Like, just let me know. Because, I mean, I know what it's like moving somewhere where you don't know anyone. And he texted me and he was asking me if I was free this week. And I was telling him, like, my day's off. But then I realized that Thanksgiving was this Thursday. And so I was like, hey, I mean, it's a little straightforward, but if you don't have plans already for Thanksgiving, you're more than welcome to spend it with us because I know what it's like. I mean, granted, he's not American, so maybe Thanksgiving isn't a big deal for him, but I know what it's like to be away from your family during a holiday. And I mean, all the merrier. I love couch surfing. I love meeting new people and being able to help people that love to travel. And so it only makes sense to me to just extend that invitation to him, whether he comes or not.
All right, we are going to take another break. And when we come back, we have more with Heaven Moore. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with Heaven Moore. She is a world traveler, and we're going to get right into talking about foods around the world. So would you consider yourself a Francophile?
Yeah, but I'm also a Francophone.
Okay.
Because, I mean, like, I like French and things to do with French culture, but I also speak French. So it's like...
When did you start learning to speak French?
I was in an immersion, so I started as soon as I started school in kindergarten. And then I continued the immersion program through 8th grade at Paul Bro. And then whenever I went to high school, it was no longer French immersion, but I continued in French classes. So I went up to French 6. And then in my senior year, there were no more Frenches. And so I started dual enrolling at UL and then majored in UL.
And so while you were at UL, you studied abroad in France. Where were you in France at that time?
I was in Strasbourg in the northeast part of France in the region named Alsace. It's like where my town was, it was like a 20-minute walk away from Germany.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
so it was like close there. Was that your first time visiting France?
No, that was like it was my third time there. Yes.
Okay. So when did you visit it before? Like just traveling?
I went on like an EF tour. Madame Neto at Paul Bro for 8th grade. They do like an EF tour. So it's like a 10-day trip. And so that was my first time there. We did Paris. We did France and Italy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I went... when I moved to France, that was my 4th time there. I'm sorry. Because afterwards, I got a scholarship through Côte d'Azur to study in Belgium. And then when I finished in Belgium, I went to France for for like a week or two. And then in Belgium, I met these girls in Italy who have become like best friends of mine. They're like family now. And I went to see them the next year. And while I was there, I spent some time in Paris as well.
When visiting and living in France as an adult, what did you notice most about the differences in food?
In food, definitely the lack of seasoning in French food. Because it's not that it's bland, so say. It's almost like, and I know this is going to sound weird, and I'm not exactly sure how to convey it or explain it, but it's like their food has almost a different level of, like, it's more sophisticated in taste, maybe, but I still miss, like, Louisiana cooking and, like, Cajun seasoning. Because when I tell you, whenever I know I'm going somewhere, especially for a long time, the first thing I put in my bag is hair products and Tony's. Because I'm like, nope, I can't go this long without it. Yeah, so it's definitely that, but also... especially in food, is the proportion sizes as well. I mean, and that's a given. Like there, the proportions are way smaller, but I still feel full. It's just different. And then I just love like the side streets of like the pâtisseries. So you have like all these bakeries everywhere. Like down my block, I had like the best bakery. So you just walk down in the morning, get a fresh croissant or like baguette or like a dessert, and it's amazing.
I mean, people just eat bread and butter and red wine as a meal, and probably like a piece of
cheese,
charcuterie cheese. Yeah, I'm sure the cheeses.
Oh yeah,
are
cheese is amazing, and like, but also like where I was living this past year in Toulouse. So in Strasbourg, Münster is a really popular cheese. I think it's German actually. Yeah. No, it's French. It's probably French. That's bad, but. I didn't really like it that much, but cheese is amazing. Obviously, I love cheese, and not even just in France. Like I love Spanish cheese as well.
I love Spanish cheese.
Yeah,
as well.
Spanish cheese is amazing, and that's the thing. Where I was living this past year in Toulouse, it's like a 2.5 hour drive away from Spain. It's right by the Pyrenees, so the mountain range that separates France and Spain. So you can get really good Spanish cheese, but also like Toulouse is known for foie gras. So you have such good foie gras everywhere, and it's not expensive. And so that I became very spoiled too.
Have you had foie gras in the States? Because I'm wondering how it compares.
Yeah, I haven't.
You need to get it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
but
going
where do
to
you get it though? Oh, Pamplona. Does Pamplona have foie gras?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But if they have it, you need to get, because I find a lot of places it's a pate.
Yeah.
And it's not like the actual liver.
Yeah, but even in France, it's more of the pate as well, which is good because I hate liver. My mom, I think I hate it because my mom, that's like the only thing she ate when she was pregnant with me. And, you know, the first time I had foie gras, I was nervous that I was just going to taste the liver. And the first time I did have it, I think in my head, I knew I was eating liver, so I just had this like liver taste in my mouth. But afterwards, I was like, oh no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I like mine where it's more, I guess, of the liver, and it's just like buttery and
I don't want to know it's a
fatty.
liver. Nope.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't really have that liver taste to it, though.
The one in France definitely has a liver taste, but it's not overwhelming. And they have like different ones, so you can have like cracked black pepper foie gras or like garlic foie gras and things like this. So it depends on which one you get and where you get it from, obviously.
So you went back once you graduated from UL. You were teaching English.
Yeah, in a high school.
And what were some of the questions that the students asked you the most about American food?
Oh, food. They're obsessed with KFC, and it makes me really sad since I'm from Louisiana. And I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know anything about it. I was like, they're like, oh, mais madame, we love KFC. And I'm like, no, because you haven't even had good like fried chicken because you guys don't have a Popeyes. Side note, they just made up their first Popeyes in France, in Montpellier. So
you're going to have to go.
Yeah,
and check
exactly,
it out.
right? But in terms of food, they're just like, oh, is everything big? Like, how big are your burgers? Or like, do you drink soda all the time? It's very stereotypical questions. It's not so much questions with like a reason behind it. But I did try to like introduce them whenever it was Mardi Gras. I kind of talked to them about gumbo and things like this because a lot of my students are like West African descent. And so they know the word gumbo, which in Africa means okra.
Right.
And so they kind of saw that connection. So that was interesting to see. So
when you made gumbo, how did they react to it?
Well, see, I made gumbo when I was in Italy.
Okay.
I made gumbo in for Christmas. I was doing it with my friends I was telling you about. And that was my second, I guess you can say second Christmas spending it with them. And for them, they make a soup, which is funny, but it's tortellini because they're from Bologna, and that's where tortellini is from. And I get sick every time I eat it, but it's delicious, so I just take it. But I made gumbo, and they loved it. They thought it was absolutely delicious, and I was terrified. It was my first time making like a homemade roux, and I didn't have all the seasonings I needed. I didn't have Tony's with me because I wasn't expecting to make it, and so but I'm shocked at how good it came out. Like, it was amazing.
Sausage? Did you use sausage in it?
Did I use sausage? Did I use sausage? No, I did.
Okay.
I did just shrimp and egg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the sausage was just like dried sausage, and I was just like,
yeah, no,
this is not going to work.
I'm wondering what would be the closest to andouille or
exactly.
like a smoked
and so
sausage.
The thing is, in Bologna they have a sausage, and the name is close to andouille, but it's not andouille, and everyone's like, no, we have it here, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not it. I'm not putting that in the gumbo, or else this is not going to work out at all. But I'm shocked at how good it came out because, like I said, it was my first time making a roux by myself, and I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be that fragrant. At some point, I was like, I'm burning it. It's going to be horrible, but it was perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the best thing that you ate
abroad?
Ooh,
that is so hard because Morocco is definitely my favorite country, and I do love the food there as well. Because like I love tagine, which is where they cook it in that like clay kind of pyramid. I guess you can call it like a pot of some sort, so that way that the smoke stays inside, so the meat's really juicy and not dry. And a lot of times they'll mix it with like prunes or something, so you get this sweetness as well. But then they have like almonds in it, and it's crunchy. But actually, when I was in Morocco, there was this Senegalese restaurant. This like tiny little Senegalese restaurant on the side street that my friend told me about. And it was so good. So good. Oh my God. Favorite food? My favorite dessert that I can tell you.
Okay.
It's a Portuguese dessert called pastéis de nata. And it's like this egg custard and this very flaky, buttery pastry cup. Oh my goodness. I would kill someone to eat one of those right now. They are so good. So good.
What was the absolute worst meal that you ate on your travels?
Worst meal that I ate? Probably the dried fish that I ate in Iceland.
Oh.
Yeah, I was not a fan. It tasted like what I imagine like a cat food or cat snack would taste like.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I feel like Iceland doesn't have good food at all.
No, it's not known for the food. It's definitely known for its scenery. Bad food. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm picky when it comes to food, but I can be hesitant because I don't have a gallbladder and I get really sick really easily. So I just try to be as adventurous while being safe. But that's definitely the worst food that I can think of. Yeah. But otherwise, I like everything. Kinda.
Okay, so let's go back to Morocco. You said that was your favorite
Love that place.
of your trip. Why was that your favorite?
I don't know, because I should hate it, honestly, because I've had so many problems there. But there's just something about it. I don't know if it's the colors or like the scenery, because I mean it's just all so different. You have places where it's just filled with mountains, and then you go and there's the sea and the beach, and then there's the whole desert, and it's just all so complex. And it's so interesting to see the way that it's like developed throughout the years and changed, because it is a country in North Africa that is predominantly Muslim, but has such heavily influences from France as well as Spain. Like in the north, so it used to be a French colony, so I'm thinking I'm going to go there, I'm going to speak French, it'll be fine. But in the north, they actually speak Spanish, if anything, if it's not Darija, which is their dialect of Arabic, because it's just a ferry ride away from the south of Spain. And so it's just so interesting to see how these people are so different and so complex from one another, and also how well they do with languages. Like a man will speak to me in perfect English, then turn around, speak perfect French, and then Spanish, then Portuguese, then just turn around and speak Japanese. And it's just insane. But the food as well is just to die for. Couscous obviously is a given one, but like tagine, and then there's sweets, and then the mint tea, and it's so sweet. Like when I think of tea, because I usually don't put sugar in my tea, I just think of like tea. Nothing great about it. But it's so sweet that if you are there, especially in the summer, if you're sitting there at a table and you take a sip of your tea and put it down and you look at it, the cup will be filled with bees. That's how sweet it is.
Wow.
Yes. It's insane. And so, yeah, they definitely like their sweets as well. But then also the lamb, and then, everything is just so good.
And you went to India as well, right?
Yes.
And then also Asia, you went to Vietnam.
And Thailand. Yeah, India was definitely, intense. And I loved it. It was just intense. And like the Indian food, when I associate India with food, I think of curries, samosas, things like that, and that's all from the north. So I did get that in the end, but I started in the south, where they have a lot of seafood, especially in where I was in Kerala, in Kochi, but the thing is, it's just so spicy.
Yeah.
And I know that's what I get for complaining about France being bland. But when I tell you it was so spicy, there were times where I was just like, I can't finish it. My face was just, it felt like it was throbbing.
And you're the one who told me that the reason why they have yogurt drinks and yogurt on the side is because that
the
cuts
spice.
the spice.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Because like my ex is Indian, and he would always just be like, Heaven, look, you don't have a gallbladder already. I don't know why you're going to purposely make yourself sick. Just mix some yogurt in it and it'll be fine. So like Greek yogurt doesn't change the taste really. It just cuts the spice. Mm-hmm. That's like why we drink milk and stuff whenever something's too spicy. It's that dairy in it that coats your mouth. But yeah, and so in India, in the north, in Rajasthan and Jodhpur, which is like the Indian blue city, Morocco has one too. But that's where samosas are from. So I had like one of the best samosas in my entire life. Every bite was different. Like sometimes it was spicy and then like sweet and then crunchy because it had almonds in it as well. It was just amazing. But yeah, India is just, it's crazy. And the food is as well. And so, yeah. I was sick a lot, though, so.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk about Vietnam when we come back, and something from home that you got while you were there that made you happy. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with Heaven Moore. Let's plug your Instagram real quick so people, if they want to follow along on your traveling adventures.
Yeah, it's really simple. My name is Heaven, and the Instagram name is How Far Away is Heaven. Just like that. Just to see how far away I am.
Super easy.
Yeah, how far away is heaven?
So when you were in Vietnam, I saw that you had Popeyes because there's apparently a Popeyes in Vietnam, and you were insanely happy.
Insanely happy is an understatement. I feel like I almost cried. It started because I was waiting in line to do my visa. Like when you get to the airport, you have to like hand in your visa paperwork and stuff to get it on your passport. And I finally got Wi-Fi, and I was just looking, and on Instagram, for locations, you have like, so cities will usually have a story, and I was in Hanoi, and it said Hanoi story, and I was just looking, and I see like something in the video catches my eye. This wasn't even the part of the video. It was just someone walking past with a Popeyes bag, and I said, "Stop the press!" And as soon as I saw that, I was Googling Popeyes in Hanoi. And it said there was one in the airport, and I was like, is it in the arrivals? Is it in the departures? I don't know where it is. I need it now. And because when I got there, I was like, I'm going to eat all the pho, all the banh mi, like everything like Vietnamese I can. And I step outside of like the arrival gate into like where you would go to catch a taxi and stuff. And the first thing I see is the Louisiana kitchen. I'm like, no. And it was so good. It tastes exactly like here, but almost better, honestly.
Really?
Because everyone can agree that I'm sorry, Popeyes, but your biscuits are a little dry.
Yeah.
But these ones are super fluffy, and they already have honey on them.
Ooh.
Yes. So they just melt in your mouth. And like everyone that I met traveling that was like, oh, we love KFC. I'm like, nope, we're going to Popeyes right now. This is an educational trip. We've got to go. I ate there way too many times. I'm not even ashamed though.
And you also got food poisoning in Vietnam, which is one
India.
of the bad parts of traveling overseas.
Yeah.
So,
but like, I feel like it's just a part of like, if you go to Southeast Asia, you just know you're gonna get sick. It's inevitable. You know, you don't know what from, you don't know when, you just know it's gonna happen. It happened to me for like a week and a half in India.
do you know what caused it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
My friend thinks it's because I was brushing my teeth with the water, but I don't think so because I was fine for the first couple of days and afterwards. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing scarier than going on a like 9-hour bus ride with no toilet when you have food poisoning. But I survived. We are here. It's okay. And then the same thing in Vietnam. I don't know what it was. It could have been the sketchy pho. No, because I was already sick at that point. But there are some places you just walk in and I was like, yeah, I'm getting sick. It's just, I know it. Like the beef was just like sitting on the counter. There's flies everywhere. I was like, yeah, I'm getting sick, but it's okay. It was delicious. So I guess it was worth it. They eat their pho with like this puff bread that's almost like crunchy, like a cracker in a sense. And you dip it in there. So like it becomes a little soggy and then you eat it. Wasn't a fan because I don't like soggy bread. But yeah, that's how they eat it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. I know that you've been looking at going to Colombia and Cuba as your next traveling destination. What's the progress been on that?
Well, see, the thing is, I have like pumped the brakes a little bit because when I go somewhere, I want to spend as much time as I can there. I don't want it to just be like a couple of days. And so I want to just save as much money as I can before going there. And then with the Cuba thing, it's just becoming a little difficult because they've had a change in legislation about like how to go there. And so now it's kind of hard. I usually prefer to travel alone. And now it's hard if you're an individual traveler. It's easier if you're in a group, an organized group. So I'm just trying to figure out the logistics on how to get there legally.
I'm looking forward to the food pictures from both of those locations because I love Colombian and Cuban food.
Yeah.
So
I know I've been on this like Latin kick lately.
Yeah, you're trying to learn Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. And so like whenever I try to learn a new language, I try to immerse myself in as much of the culture as I can. So like listening to music, watching TV shows, even the food, because I feel like food is a very big part of culture. And so like every Friday night, a friend of mine, we usually go to Cafe Habana City now to eat and then to stay for the Latin night. We're probably the only people in the entire building that don't speak Spanish, and that's okay. But
I love to watch the dancing.
Oh, that's the only thing I want to watch.
Like watching them dance.
Exactly. And I'm like, why is that not me?
It makes me feel like I'm back in Miami.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Because there's this place in Paris that I absolutely love in the Latin Quarter. And it's just that it's only Latin dancing. And I would literally just sit there and just be amazed. And it was the same thing when I was in the Canary Islands, because the Canary Islands is part of Spain. And so they listen to a lot of the same music and dance like a certain type of bachata, which is just mesmerizing. And I'm like, I will be that one day. I will.
So since you've been home, what are some of the places around Lafayette that has made you feel like you were back overseas?
Definitely Cafe Bar in the city. It's key. It's like setting me up for what I'm waiting for in Cuba, basically. Mm-hmm. But definitely Bismillah, the Indian grocery and restaurant.
It's delicious.
On Congress. Is that Congress?
Yeah, it's on Congress.
Oh, I even thanked him whenever I got up there. I was just like, I haven't had such good Indian food since I left India. Because I had Indian food when I was in Vietnam. It was pretty good. But, I mean, yeah. But it's so good. And then they have all of the products that I was used to eating in India. Because I was asking you if you like mango, because there's this drink called Frutti, Frooti, and it's just pure mango, and it's so good.
Okay, so they have that there.
They have that there, so and I was so excited. Because in India, when I was there, I went probably at the worst time because it was like 114 degrees every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so finding drinks that were refreshing and cool was definitely important, and Fruity was one of those lifesavers. Other restaurants that make me feel, I mean, I love some Saigon noodles. I love pho, so like that definitely doesn't change. And I definitely want to try Grayson's as soon as possible. But but I mean, I love eating food not from here, but since I have been gone so long, I love eating like local food as well.
Boudin.
So Boudin definitely meshes.
Who's your favorite Boudin?
I don't think I have a favorite Boudin. I'm not a Boudin
like
snob. Yeah, I like them all. I'm not that snobby when it comes to them. But I mean, Best Stops is always like a good go-to for me. It's just far from where I live. But like I went to Pop's the other day for that pepperoni po' boy, which was just to die for. It definitely didn't disappoint. So I'm definitely happy to be back.
And what about like rice? Are you a big rice and gravy fan too?
Not really. I mean, I'll eat it. If my godmother cooks it for me, I'll eat it. But I don't think ever in my life am I craving rice and gravy. Whenever I get back here, I gorge on food, which is why I'm trying to do this low carb diet. Because the last time I moved back, I gained like 20 pounds in 6 months. It was ridiculous. Because I'm not walking everywhere like I am when I'm abroad. But it's okay. It was worth it.
If you go to any of the other countries for like the last time of your life, what would be the one dish that you would like want to have again before you die? We can talk. Wait, you know what we haven't talked about? The Spanish ham. Because I remember you were talking about the Spanish ham at one time, and it's expensive.
Yeah, it is. It depends on where you get it from, and it depends on like the quality of it for sure. I remember my mom and I went on this tapas store in Barcelona, and we went to like I'm gonna mess that up. It was this really fancy place. It was like basically like one of the oldest restaurants in Barcelona, and it's like where they have some of the best ham in the entire region of like Catalonia. And when I tell you, like they cut it so thin as well, and you have to eat it all at the same time. You can't like bite into it because it has like the different layers of like meat and fat.
Oh wow!
And it literally tasted like butter melting on my tongue because it was just straight fat. And it's delicious, and how many different types of ham there is as well. But yeah, it just depends on where you get it from. Depends on like their cost. But I feel like in Spain, there's no bad ham. There's no such thing as bad ham.
All ham is good.
It's basically exactly how I feel.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's plug your Instagram one more time.
How far away is heaven? Just like it sounds. How far away?
And hopefully heaven will be in Colombia or Cuba
hopefully.
very
or
soon.
West Africa.
Or West Africa.
I'm happy with either of those.
We're adding to the list.
Yeah, West Africa has been big on my list. But
all right. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. And this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy eating, Acadiana.